right, I just saw Dragon Ball Superhero in theaters, and I had a pretty dang good fun time with that. That was definitely a Dragon Ball movie. You're not going to be shocked by anything in this movie, is kind of what I mean by that. If you are familiar with Dragon Ball in any capacity, you're getting what you're paying for with this movie. Both for good and for bad, but we'll get into that. Dragon Ball is not a franchise I get to talk about a lot with my channel, even though it is very formative to my development as an anime fan, and obviously to a lot of people, since it was so instrumental in bringing anime to a mainstream audience in the West. I grew up watching Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z on Toonami. Personally, I was more of a OG Dragon Ball fan myself, just because I think they did the comedy better and the action was still top-notch in the original Dragon Ball. And this movie, much like a lot of the movies post this new Dragon Ball revival that we've had, a lot of the, well, at least 2 of the 4 movies we've gotten lean very heavily towards more of a Dragon Ball feel, with Dragon Ball Z accents when the fights come about. We saw that a lot with the first half of Battle of Gods. Very wacky shenanigans going on in that one. And that's definitely the case with Superhero. The opening setup for the movie is very much a Dragon Ball-esque kind of setup. Basically, the plot of the movie, without spoiling anything, is we get the grandson of Dr. Gero is recruited by the grandson of Commander Red from the Red Ribbon Army to create some new androids in order for him to take over the world. Now, the grandson of Dr. Gero, who is Dr. Hedo in this movie, he doesn't think that the Red Ribbon Army is trying to take over the world in this. He thinks that it's actually Capsule Corp and the Saiyans who are the evil ones, and that's why he kind of goes along with this, which is where the superhero aspect of this comes in. He thinks that he's creating superheroes to defeat an evil organization. So that was a pretty interesting setup for this film. And it leads to some pretty, funny, genuinely funny moments in this film. One of my favorite gags that you probably won't catch unless you're really astute, is there's a bit where, the car that they're driving in just starts spinning around out of control, but you can see, but from the perspective inside the car, the camera is stationary, but there's a robot bee in the car that's from the car's perspective, it looks like the bee is spinning, but when you remember that it's the car spinning, you realize that that bee is just being stationary, and that's one of the cooler, almost throwaway gags in this film. There's a lot of comedy in this film, which I like that from my Dragon Ball. Not all of it is good. Some of it kind of just devolves into wacky face in front of the camera, which, it's anime, so you kind of expect that, but it's not well executed sometimes. But for the most part, I would say the humor definitely hits. Aside from that, if I'm being honest, there's not a lot to this movie, and I'm not going to say what did you expect, it's Dragon Ball. I'm not going to say that, because there is, if you really dig into Dragon Ball, you can find some stuff. And yeah, if you dig into this movie, you can find some interesting themes in it. We finally get Pan back in this franchise after GT did her dirty. She's 3 years old at this point in the film, and the way that they kind of use her to spark something within Gohan in this film, to inspire him to action of sorts, was kind of interesting. And also, I'm going to be honest, Pan steals the whole show in this movie. She is absolutely adorable, 100% of the time, I love her. She's cute. Love it. She's just this cute little Daughteru character. A+, no notes. But aside from that, I guess you could either take this as a criticism of the movie or as a, yeah, that's what I'm here to see. And that is that it repeats a lot of the same story beats that you've already seen before. If you've seen all of Dragon Ball and all of Dragon Ball Z, it basically just repeats a lot of the points from the Red Ribbon Army arc. It repeats a lot of the stuff from the Android Saga and the Cell Saga. A lot of the same character beats, a lot of the same story beats, even a lot of the same, like, finishing shots. I'm not going to give anything away, but, like, it's very much, this is very much a callback nostalgia movie in a lot of senses. Personally, I think I could have done with a little bit less of it, especially in terms of the story and character moments. I was hoping for something a little bit less repetitive on that front. It wasn't actively hindering the story in any way, but I was hoping for something a little bit more, I guess, inspired in that sense. But again, it's not bad in any sense. It's functional. If you're brand new to the Dragon Ball franchise for some reason, which actually the movie kind of catches you up in like the first minute and a half. It does a super quick summary of the Red Ribbon Army saga and the Cell saga just to get you up to speed on everything. So if you're fairly new to Dragon Ball and you haven't seen the first 2 TV installments, you'll probably really enjoy this movie. It's not entirely reliant on you being a fan of Dragon Ball. I will definitely give it that much. Like, you can just jump into this movie. So that's, obviously, you kind of need to know a little bit about what a Saiyan is and, like, the backstory of this. But if you're just here for, like, the big punch 'em up, you're definitely going to get that. Because, man, the fights in this movie are pretty fucking good. Like many people, I was kind of worried about how the full CG for this film was gonna pan out. I will say the fights are far and away the best animated part of the movie, which is obviously a good thing for Dragon Ball. You want the fights to be the best looking part, and they definitely are. The camera is very good at capturing the perfect impacts, the perfect motions, just the flow of these fights, especially the 2 fights in the second half of the film, are fucking stellar. Some of the best fights, at least in terms of choreography, in all of Dragon Ball, in my opinion. And especially in terms of, like, color design and stuff like that, just the digital effects they use to create these really hype moments are really, really good, and they mesh with the overall aesthetic of the film pretty well. Now, outside the fights, CG gets a little shaky. For the most part, I would not say anything in this film looks outright bad. I'll give it that much. This is definitely one of the better looking full CG projects I've seen from anime. Not a high bar to clear, but it is watchable. I'm really selling it short here. It's a pretty decent looking movie outside of the fight scenes. Honestly, the parts that will look worse are when it tries to do, like, big man-made backgrounds, I guess, when it tries to do cities, when it tries to do, like, railways and, like, army bases and stuff. That's when it looks the worst, I guess. When especially, like, the establishing shot of whatever Bulma's city is, wherever that is. Like, the establishing shot of that looked pretty not good. But I will say some of the more, like, natural landscapes look pretty good. Like, we've got those very, like, mountainy, woodsy terrains that are very classic Dragon Ball DBZ areas, and those look pretty solid. The Red Ribbon Army base looked pretty good, too, so I'll give it that much. And pretty much anytime the environment is used in the fight scenes, it also looks pretty good. Just the way that this environment is captured is pretty solid. Character designs can definitely be hit or miss. Most notably, anytime you get the spiky-haired anime characters, that's when the CG really starts to show. And also some of the models that aren't used as much in the film. Not going to say whose models, because that kind of gives away certain aspects of the film, but the models where it's obvious that these characters aren't going to be in the film for very long could have used a little bit more touching up. But yeah, overall, not a bad looking film. I will give it credit for that. Normally, I go really hard on full CG stuff. Like, if it doesn't look good, I'm gonna say it doesn't look good. But aside from a few shots that I'll admit don't look good in this, for the most part, this is a decent looking film. And when the fights are on, the fights are fucking on, baby. Yeah, I would say I definitely had a good time with this film. Again, it does feel a little repetitive if you've seen everything from Dragon Ball at this point, but it still has a few nuggets of freshness here and there that keep it from just feeling stale or pointless. This is definitely not a pointless film. I enjoyed myself. I would definitely see it again with, like, friends or something. This is also definitely a movie theater movie. You want to go see this in a movie theater with people who are hyped to see Dragon Ball. Like, my theater was like that. I was fucking stoked. All the people around me were fucking stoked. Normally, I don't advocate for shouting in a movie theater, but for Dragon Ball, if you want to shout during the fight scenes, go off, man. Go for it. But yeah, good Dragon Ball movie. I kind of like the way that the Dragon Ball franchise is being handled now. Personally, did not care for Super at all, the TV series, but I've liked all of the movies so far. And if Dragon Ball is on the trajectory of, like, one solid movie every 3 to 4 years, that's perfectly acceptable for me for Dragon Ball. Honestly speaking, though, this might be my least favorite of the 4 new movies, like all the movies since Battle of Gods. It's either this one or Resurrection F. One of these two is at the bottom. Broly is far and away my favorite from these new ones. And then I would put Battle of Gods at number 2. But yeah, still really enjoyed this movie. I'd give it like light 7, maybe a strong 6 if I'm feeling really critical, but this was a good movie. Had a fun time. It's a real hype movie full of what you like from Dragon Ball. So yeah, would definitely recommend seeing it. It's in a ton of theaters, obviously, because it's Dragon Ball, so go check it out if you have time. But that's all we have for today's video. There's still a ton of other anime movies that are coming out this year. I think the next one is Goodbye Don Glees, which is from the director of A Place Further Than the Universe and No Game No Life. So definitely hyped to see that one. So tune in for that later. My name is Ember, and I'll see you next time.